estimating. Um, but I guess my general concern is sort of one the high cost of it, right?
Yeah.
So
Very, very high
it's
cost.
ballooned from taking this from calculations I did based on the notes I've taken. I ballooned from roughly $30,000 spot parking spot cost now to over twice that much.
Oh, yeah, it's way more than that. Yeah.
Well, I mean that's just based on the numbers.
Yeah, it's like 65,000 per spot.
Yes, yeah, neighborhood. And I mean I don't know if that is an accurate measure, but it's just a little surprising, I guess, that the costs. I mean, I can understand that construction is expensive. Sort of single time opportunities, you might have another one down the road. But I mean, given sort of the state of where businesses may grow, we've got a lot of development and coming up online next year. I'm worried that the council, I guess, staff's optimism that have peak roughly 85% usage of the parking. It's a little underestimated given again the construction that's coming online in the next year and a half. So that's all I'm just trying to get at is I would prefer that the city follow through in their original construction plans, and the staff has made some recommendations about ways to mitigate some of the costs by one removing a subfloor.
Yeah, we actually voted on the last week.
Okay.
I don't know if you followed that.
I didn't see the council minutes. So.
Yeah, so we voted on it, and so it pretty much is going to stay the way it was really proposed. It's just the cost has gone up a lot.
Okay, so
the vote happened last Monday.
Okay, so I guess I didn't see that.
The meeting is probably hasn't been published yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what would you like to have seen done?
I mean, one is like, is that cost like pretty much cemented? Is that something we
It's probably going to go up, right? Unfortunately, but yeah, I made the proposal of I'm not sure you know mechanical lifts, but a lot of garages have mechanical lifts to maximize the space inside the garage.
Mm-hmm.
That could reduce the cost potentially, but we didn't have much support of council. But another way to reduce cost was to have those cars.
When you say mechanical lifts, you're talking about stacked parking. We have construction projects like the ones that have gone on downtown. Have people.
There's no mechanical lifts downtown.
Well, no, I'm not talking about that. But when construction projects for those garages in downtown were there equal shows of costs.
Oh.
To the the degree and sort of the rate of inflation that we're seeing with this project.
Well, I think actually the cost increase is actually kind of surprising, but I think the traditional building or parking structures is roughly right. $65,000 per car is roughly what it is. It's a lot though, right? But it's I think downtown tends to be a little more expensive because the land is more expensive than Cal-Out, but it's
probably land is owned by the cities. That's not cost, right?
No. I'm just saying in general, if you were to build like a parking spot, right? It's something. Yeah, so it's a lot of money generally. It's not cheap. Parking is not cheap at all.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know. Either the original estimate from 2014 was very optimistic at 30,000 a spot.
Well, I mean, it's not just the parking garage that has had that. Like, there's a lot of other infrastructure projects that have just exploded in cost.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe bridge, right?
Yeah, that bridge. Yeah, so like.
But I mean, why is it so hard to estimate? I guess. I mean, I can understand the cost of inflation. If you're going to double your costs in 7 years, that kind of thing.
Well, like on Monday, we also had an item about replacing the water mains in downtown Palo Alto, like University Avenue. The original cost was like 11.5, I think, million. And when we walked out there, so this is some kind of reference. So
when you say 11 million now, it's 18 million. is that levy million assuming that there's cost increases? Like, if, you know, sorry if I'm wrong about this, but that would suggest relatively consistent undersizing estimates by the
Well,
city.
it's also how we bid, right? So on that pipeline project, there was a direct award, so there were no bidders. There's no competitive bidding process.
Is that required?
Well, it's supposed to, right? But what happened was when the city first issued the request for proposal, it had very stringent scheduling requirements, and so nobody bid on it, which is very rare, especially for a contract this size. And then so that allows us to do direct awards, but a direct award you don't have competitive bidding anymore.
So the contractor can ask for whatever he wants.
Exactly. So the big issue here is that most residents don't follow the cost much, like the cost of infrastructure or the cost of project. In fact, I think you're the only one that's ever come to talk to me about this. Because most people don't think about the cost or the cost increase, right? Now, council, I'm one of the few that actually just I make a big scene about this all the time, right? But because most residents don't seem to care or seem to even know about it.
It's just infrastructure, right?
Well, they don't think about the cost or mass cost. They don't come in to talk to council people about this, right? You're literally the first person ever since I've been on council, which has been about over a year now, that's come to talk to me about or had a concern about the cost. Nobody else has ever done that, right? And so like my colleagues on council think, what's another 50%, 100% increase? No big deal, right? The residents don't come in and talk about it. Nobody comes to council to complain about this. Nobody.
So how does the city handle this?
That's why we have these massive cost increases because we don't.
I know, but where's the funding for that?
It's going to come from back to you, right? Increase taxes on residents or projects, right? So that's what because we in a city residents for the most part don't have a strong opinion about the cost increases. I mean, you're literally the only person that's ever talking about this, right? And so
I can understand costs if they make sense, and if they have to be done, like it sounds like a direct.
Well, it didn't have to be that way. We could have gone out for a second bid, right? So okay, here's the reasonable scheduling. What you bid on it, right? We could have done that, but we didn't, right? I mean, so right now, cost containment has not been a big priority for the city, at least for council, right? But if you and others were to write in more, come talk to council people more, were to speak out at council meetings about the massive cost increase.
I mean, eventually the buck's going to roll back to the residents of Palo Alto.
It is, yeah, absolutely. But the problem is that right now, this is kind of like an esoteric technique for most people. They think, okay, the pipeline cost went from 11.5 to 18. What's the big deal, right? But most people don't think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if people did, then there'd probably be going council people like me who would say, hey, you can't do that. You can't just let the cost.
So is that the opinion? Let's sort of like
here's on the council, okay, on the pipeline project. It was a 2-7 vote. Me and one other council person voted against this pipeline project because at least I felt it wasn't. We didn't. We should have had a competitive bidding process. It's a lot of money, right? Mm-hmm. And to go from 11.5 to 18 seems unreasonable, right? But except for the contractor that didn't get the bid, there's no one else that came to council to complain about this. Now, of course, it was 11:30 at night. A lot of people, but no one came in to complain about it, right?
And council doesn't think that cost containment is a priority?
I think so. But
207.
209, yeah. So, but most people don't, right? I mean, I also proposed that we look at mechanical lifts, reduce the cost of a parking garage, right? We could have eliminated a basement level perhaps, and get maybe more cars. But what you have, the fundamental issue you have is a bit of an agency problem. So it's called a principal agent problem. So the staff, for the most part, it's not their money, right? It's the residents' money. So staff doesn't care about the.
They just make proposals.
They just put it out there, and then because most residents do not track financials very closely in the city. They don't care. It's not they don't care. They just not are very aware of these cost increases, there's not. We
So
rarely.
let's just ask a larger question. How fiscally responsible do you think Palo Alto City is?
I think we could get much more efficient, much more efficient. But I'm one of the few council members that actually speak a lot about this. Most council members do not, and the reason why is because most these people like you don't come to talk to us much. Very rare.
Right, but that's just not a thought in their process. Are there other?
I think about it all the. I think about it all the time.
I mean, as a human being, you know, everyone has to manage budgets. I would think that whether it's your own budget or whether it's your city budget, I mean, you would want to, you know, carry some of the same.
I'm with you 100%, and I'm like, but I get outvoted almost every single time. Every single time, I get outvoted. Because it's easier. Okay, here's what goes on. So with staff makes a proposal, they don't. It's not their money. They don't think too hard about like, you know, the cost increase. And for council members, it's easier for them to accept the staff's like recommendation versus really push on it because they want to have a good relationship with staff, right? Even though it compromises the financials of the city, right? Because for the most part, residents don't come in to talk about this. This is not.
What does that mean? The relationship with the staff.
It's easier. So you got to
Staff was like leave. Staff.
Well, I mean, like so, like for instance, I voted against the raise for the city manager, right? He's one of the top 8 city managers. You know, does he need a 5% raise right now? That, you know, our city expenses are growing at like 7%, 8%, right, year over year, and our revenues only growing about 3 to 4%. So we have 3%, 3 to 4% shortfall. And so, and then the city manager increases the city the budget for his office. Okay, he got a 5% raise, and his office got a 40% raise. Okay, and this is all the time when our revenues only growing about 3 to 4%. I'm just like, what the hell? Like, I mean, we can't do this. We can't have the cost like go way past higher than our revenues. But it was an 8-1 vote on the budget.
We have 2 minutes left.
Right. So, and the main reason why is because I think most residents don't. This is not a hot button issue for most residents. It is for me personally.
Like, yeah, I mean, it seems like a relatively easy thing to stick. You just need to, you know, to articulate more clearly. Look, you know, this is where you've been spending, this is where you're earning.
That's literally what I said, but
not to council. I mean, this is what you need to pitch to the public. Because
I
public
do.
doesn't know.
I do. I put it on our Facebook page. We try to, you know.
This needs to end up like on the ballot posts, or you know, whatever. Right?
They actually did have it in there, but most people don't read it, right? I mean, it's just not. This is not a hot button topic, right? Most people don't track city finances, right? And
because everyone assumes that you're doing it properly.
yeah. Well, I mean that. Yeah. I mean, I think what it would take for there to be a difference here would be for you and others to make more of a have more of an outcry about it. So, like for instance, we had this janitorial contract, and it was $5 million for that janitorial contract before, right? Between the city buildings, and now it's $10 million, right? There was not a single letter, It was a newspaper, but no one came to council to talk about or complain about it. Nobody, right? And ironically, that same exact night, we're trying to find funding to because they're shutting down the VTA shutting the bus down for kids to go to right? So we're losing a bus route, and it would cost $640,000 to come up with the money to pay for the shuttle. We couldn't come up with $640,000 to pay for the shuttle, but we could double the cost of our janitorial contract. Okay, this give you a point of reference, right? Same day, same night, right? So, but it's this is I think maybe one other council members. This is a kind of hot button issue. Probably for me, the biggest hot button issue. It just drives me crazy when I see this. Right, it drives me crazy when I see these massive increases. But I've been unable to convince my other council members.
Greg, we need to wrap it up.
All right. Thanks for
So Chris,
Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
for
Yep.
coming.
Yes, I don't know what.
Write in,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
speak,
Yep.
let other people do, speak about it, like follow